Okay, now. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are excited to offer a wonderful opportunity to expand our knowledge that's going to help us reach more athletes and more families for Special Olympics by giving us a little brief toe dip into the water of learning another language so that we can communicate in just a little bit better way than what we are now with some of our Spanish speaking athletes and their families. And I'm happy to welcome Ann McCowan. She is going to be our instructor for today. And she currently teaches at Spanish at Westminster Catawba Christian School. And she's been doing that for about 10 years. And before that, she really fell in love with speaking Spanish while she spent some time in Argentina in 2010. And then she's gotten involved with Special Olympics in Area 11, and she's played on the unified soccer team, and she's married one of the famous McCowans, one of the royalty in Area 11. Her husband, Ian, is also participates with Special Olympics as a unified partner as well. So, Anne, I am going to turn it over to you, and you should be able to share your screen at any time, and take it away.
Buenas tardes, clase.
Buenas tardes.
So we're just going to be learning going over a handful of phrases and words that will hopefully be helpful to you. It would be great if it is possible for you to unmute so you can because we're going to be doing some repetition and things like that as we're going through. If I'm going too fast or something, just let me know. If you need me to repeat something, just let me know. I'm used to teaching unruly high schoolers who, don't want anything to do with anything. So it's different having everyone's cameras on for the first fact. Usually it's all dark, nothing. So just being able to see your faces is something a little different today. Gotta find the right screen. There we go. I'm also not used to sharing. I'm not used to doing that. Like that. All right, so Los Olímpicos Especiales en Carolina del Sur. So we are talking about the Special Olympics in South Carolina. So a lot of times special pronouns or like proper names and things don't always have a translation. Like if you were going to go to Georgia, like they would just say Georgia. But South does have a translation, so that the state kind of gets a translation there. Same with Special Olympics. Some titles maybe don't get translated, but this one does. So, all right, so we're going to start with Programa de área. Repite, clase. Programa de área.
Programa de área.
Programa de área.
Muy bien. So the accent is on that first A, really hits it. So that would be for area program. That might come in handy when you're talking to your athletes from different regions. Right? El atleta or la atleta. Repite.
El
atleta.
So this would be the athlete. So there's no H there, so it's just atleta.
Atleta.
And we have el entrenador or la entrenadora.
El
entrenador.
So one thing that's a little different in Spanish and English is that Spanish, every single word has gender, even if it's not a person. So you saw here with entrenador and entrenadora, there was a male version and a feminine version, a female version. Same thing here. Atleta will stay the same. You would just use L if it was a boy or la if it was a girl. And you'll see later on that some words that don't have to do with people will still have gender. So you might hear a lot of L's and la's. That just means the, but it's just one is masculine and one is feminine. So entrenador or entrenadora would be the coach. You might also find if you have athletes on your team who speak Spanish, their background might be different than mine. So like this is the word that I'm familiar with for coach, but you know, if they're from Costa Rica or Mexico or Peru, like every country might have a different word for some of these things. So as you're going along, you might say it and they'll probably know what you mean, but they might say a different word back to you. So just be aware that some of your athletes might use different words than what we're learning, just because of the slang from wherever they're from. All right, we have compañero unificado. So repite, compañero
Compañero
unificado.
unificado.
So that would be the unified partner. So the N with the tilde, that's the little squiggly line, makes a ñ sound versus a you wouldn't say compañero, you'd say compañero. It's like there's a Y in there. And so that would be the unified partner. And if you notice, it's backwards. So they say partner first, and then unified second. So in Spanish, nouns always come first, and the adjective that describes them comes second. So that was the same thing you saw, like area program, area came after program. So anytime you have an adjective, those are going to come afterwards. But if you said it backwards, again, they're definitely still going to understand what you mean. It just wouldn't sound right to them. All right, this one's a long one. So autorización médica. So we'll break this one down a little bit. Autorización
Decisión.
That one's kind of hard. So autorización. Médica is a lot easier.
One more time, and please.
So actually, that's a typo. There's only one CI. So cross out that CI that's there. I was like, wait, that's not right. So autor,
Arturo.
iza,
Isa.
and you take out one of those CI, sion. So autorización.
Autorización.
Medica would be a lot easier. So medical form, or it would be more literally medical authorization. And so again, this would be all athletes or their families will need to fill these out for them. So this will be a good thing to have on hand. I don't know, does Special Olympic have forms in Spanish?
Yep. Yes, we do. We have Spanish. We have Spanish medical forms and Spanish waivers as well.
Perfect. So hopefully, I don't know what the form would be titled. Hopefully it would be this, or again, there are some other words for form that you could use. So, but this would be the most literal one, I think. All right, el voluntario.
El voluntario.
Good. And so this one again could be la voluntaria if it was a female volunteer. So that one's pretty straightforward. It's very similar to the English word. All right, so we're getting kind of away from Special Olympics, like official words, and we're going to get more into like the sports words now that might apply when you're having practice or games or something. So first we have atrapa.
Atrapa.
So kind of like trapping something, okay? You would catch it. So this would be all kinds of catching. This would also be for soccer, like chopping with your foot. You would use the same word. I'm trying to think of other sports, but anytime you're receiving, basically, you could use this word. So we'll repeat this one more time. Atrapa.
Atrapa.
Right, so now we have several words for all of the things you see here. Again, it kind of depends on who you're talking to, what word they're going to use. So the first word we have pelota.
Pelota.
The second word would be balón.
Balón.
And then that last one is just bola.
Bola.
So again, it'll probably depend on who you're talking to, what they use. So I was always taught that pelota was for the smaller sports, so like tennis or baseball or golf, whereas balón would be for the bigger, like soccer and basketball and volleyball and football. So that would be kind of the distinction. But then again, in my travels, I hear pelota a lot more for all sports regardless. So if anything, I would probably start with that one. But then interestingly, here in the United States, I hear bola a lot, which I think is just kind of like a Spanishization of the English word ball. You might hear any of these words from your athlete for ball. So, you know, pick one to start, and then if they use a different one, you can use that word back to them. So we'll repeat all of these one more time. Pelota.
Pelota.
Balón.
Balón.
Bola.
Bola.
So any of those could be for ball. All right, then we have lanza or tira. So we'll try lanza first. Lanza
Lanza.
or tira.
Tira.
So both of those could be used for throw. Again, depending on where they're from, you might hear either one. Tira could also be for kick. So tira could be throw or kick. Lanza is typically just throw. So we'll try that one. One more. Lanza.
Lanza.
And tira.
Tira.
Corre. Corre is one that almost all the sports are probably going to need. Run. Okay, so we'll repeat that one. Corre.
Pray.
All right, and some people say it's genetically impossible for some people to roll their R's. So whenever you see the double R like that, you would probably want to get the sound if you can. But obviously, again, some people just can't really seem to do it. So if you just say corre, they're going to get the message. Corre is run. So we'll try that one more time. Corre.
Corre.
All right, and probably what most of us are going to be asking of our athletes is to corre más rápido. Okay, so we've got just rápido, which would be fast, and then to be like faster, you would add más. So you're literally saying more fast, which sounds silly in English, but makes sense in Spanish. So we'll repeat this one. Más
Más
rápido.
rápido.
So again, that accent falls on that first A, so we don't want to say rapido. Okay, that one, that just, it'll sound, again, they'll know what you mean, but it'll sound silly. So if you want to sound as authentic as you can, you're going to want to say rápido. That really emphasizing that A.
Rápido.
Again.
Rápido.
So we'll try that one more time. Más
Más
rápido.
rápido.
Put them all together. Más rápido.
Más rápido.
Muy bien. And then occasionally we might want the opposite. Más despacio or más lento. So we'll do despacio
Despacio.
or lento.
Lento.
So you may be familiar with the very popular song Despacito. Okay, so that's just another way to say despacio. So you might hear that one more often. So that's just talking about being more slow, to go slowly. So that might be a way for you to remember it. So, and again, either word will work. You can always use one. If your athlete doesn't really understand, maybe try the other one and see which one they kind of pick up on. So we'll do that one more time. Más,
Más.
despacio,
Despacio.
más,
Más.
lento.
Lento.
All right, then we have el gimnasio.
Gimnasio.
So in Spanish, the G's are often, G's combined with certain vowels are often pronounced with the soft sound, the H sound. And this is one of those occasions. So you won't say gimnasio, you'll say him, like with an H, gimnasio for this one. So we'll repeat that one. Gimnasio.
Gimnasio.
Put it together, gimnasio.
Gimnasio.
And so that would be like the gym, like with all of the workout equipment, or a gym with like a basketball court. Either one would be the same word. Right, then we have a campo, un campo, or una cancha, which would be the field or the court. Campo can also be like a field, like just a general field, not like a specific soccer field. And you might also hear cancha for a soccer field. So again, you kind of could get both either way. So we'll repeat campo,
Campo.
and cancha.
Cancha.
Those two are pretty straightforward. And then we have hace rodar, which is roll. So in Spanish, H's are typically silent. So you're not going to pronounce the H in that first word. It's going to be hace.
Hace.
And then rodar.
Rodar.
We'll try that one all together. Hace rodar.
Hace. Rodar.
Good. And so it literally means to make it roll. Just saying rodar would be like telling them to roll themselves. So to say like to make something else roll, you would need the hace in front of it.
Won't you repeat one of these with me?
Okay. Then we have porteria or goal. So this one would depend on the context. So the actual physical goal, like if you were going to say move the goal, would be porteria. So we'll try that one. Porteria.
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 So that's the physical goal. But then if they score a goal, that is the goal. You know, everyone hears that, from the Hispanic soccer games. They say it like as long as they possibly can with like 12,000 O's. So that would be to score a goal would be that kind of goal. But a porteria would be the actual physical goal. All right, then we have marcador or puntaje, which would be the score. So we'll start with the first one, marcador.
Marcador.
Or puntaje.
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 So again, the J kind of makes that H sound most of the time. And again, as far as I know, either of these are equally used for the score. If you wanted to say just the points, those would be.
I don't have a champion sweatshirt.
So there's a relation there between the score and the points.
That R is silent.
Marcador.
I didn't hear you pronounce it. Marcador.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, marcador. So a lot of times you'll find that vowels, especially S's, at the ends of words, or sorry, not vowels, consonants at the ends of words, like S's, sometimes R's are very, very soft. So that's probably in there.
And what did you say was point?
Punto.
Punto. Okay.
Punto.
Thank you.
Right?
Bueno.
Oh,
Bueno.
happy looking guy there. So a lot of people are familiar with bueno. That just is good. So we'll repeat that one. Bueno.
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 Again, this could be used with a combination of things that are coming up. You might also hear bien, which is kind of more like well. So you have bueno, which is kind of like our good, and bien, which would be similar to our well. So they're used in similar ways to our good and well. So bien or bueno will get your point across either way that it is good.
Paul.
Yeah. If that doesn't say por favor, I don't know what does.
Por favor.
So for please, we have por favor.
Por favor.
Por favor.
Por favor.
So first part is por
Por
favor.
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 So it does
Por favor.
rhyme. And then again, a little bit of slang. You might hear sometimes you'll hear porfi, and it'll just shorten it. So por favor would be more formal. You might hear porfi if they're comfortable using slang, or if you're working with younger students, that would probably be something that a younger child would say. They would shorten it to porfi. That little sad voice. So por favor is please. And then we have another one that probably a lot of people are familiar with. Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. So that is thank you. Again, that S, you might hear the S kind of fall off at the end, depending on who's speaking. They might just say gracias. And then that S kind of just falls away. A lot of times the S's will get really soft or almost non-existent. So we'll practice this one. Gracias.
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 And if you're very thankful, or want to say many thanks, add muchas in front of it. Muchas is a lot or many. That would be muchas gracias, would be many thanks. All right. Next we have dia. Dia.
Dia.
Dia.
So that one's pretty easy, that's day. But if you were to combine it with good, so buenos dias, it would be good morning or good day. But you would most likely say it in the morning. So we'll do it both ways. We'll repeat with just day, and then we'll repeat for good morning. So dia.
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 And then to say good morning would be buenos dias.
Buenos
Buenos
dias.
dias.
Buenos dias.
Dias. Mhm.
Buenos dias.
So that would be good morning. And then you have mañana, with that N with the tilde again. And mañana actually has two meanings. It can be just morning, or it can also be tomorrow. So that can be a little confusing if you wanted to say tomorrow morning, because that would be mañana or la mañana. So you say it both. So we'll repeat that one, mañana.
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 So again, you're going to get that ñ sound on the first end, mañana.
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 And again, apparently with the kids, there's some famous meme or something TikTok going around that there's some creepy thing that goes manana, and so they all say it wrong, and it is very annoying. So don't do that. You gotta have the nye sound on that first and mañana. Then we have tarde,
Tarde. Tarde.
which would be the afternoon. So again, you could use this talking about time, like if you want to differentiate between 10 in the morning, 10 mañana, or 10 in the evening. I guess that would be night, but so tarde would be afternoon. We'll repeat that one more time. Tarde.
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 Okay. And then we have noche,
Noche.
be at night. So again, you could combine this with good for good night. So it'd be buenas noches for good night. Noche
Noche.
is
Noche.
anytime after 6, really. So we'll practice both of those. Noche
Noche.
Noche.
or just night. And then if you want to say good night, it would be buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
So those are, that is plural. I don't know why it's plural, but it is. It's always buenas noches, not buena noche. So always with the S.
Noches. Buenas noches.
All right. A very important place, los
Baños.
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 Años.
So we've got that tilde again in the middle. So we'll repeat baños.
Baños.
Años.
Then I guess, well, most are label. I guess I could have added woman and man. But baños is bathrooms. All right, so now we're going to get into some longer phrases that might be helpful as you try to interact. Most of them are questions. So the first question is, ¿Cómo estás? So that is,
¿Cómo estás?
how are you? So we'll do, ¿Cómo
¿Cómo
estás?
estás?
And then most of the time, you'll probably hear this first answer, estoy bien, or just bien. But there's lots of other emotions. Bad would probably be the next one that you might hear, estoy mal. So mal would be bad. And then if you look at the picture here, we've got lots of different emotions: stressed, happy, in love, confused, surprised, sad. So triste might be another one that you hear as a response. But ¿Cómo estás would just be, how are you? It's kind of generally asking how they're feeling. All right, another one that might be important. ¿Cuándo es práctica? So cuando is when, and then práctica is practice. Again, you might hear some other words for practice. As I was just kind of like double checking or researching some of these words to see if there were other options. I did come across a few, but práctica was the most common. So I stuck with that one. So this would be, they would be asking, when is practice? So ¿cuándo
¿Cuándo
es
es
práctica?
práctica?
¿Cuándo es práctica?
So that would be when is practice. And then for time, a lot of times, if you just give the number, they're going to be able to figure it out. So you only have to know through 12 for that. So that's not too bad. Maybe in a potential future one, we didn't throw in numbers on this one. But when is practice? ¿Cuándo es práctica? And then the follow-up question might be for that, instead of when, but where. ¿Dónde está práctica? Okay, so ¿dónde is where? Then where is practice? So we'll start with ¿dónde
¿Dónde
está
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 práctica?
práctica?
¿Dónde está práctica?
¿Dónde está práctica?
Good. So we've got cuando and donde so far as our question words. I think we have another cuando next. Yes. So we have cuando es el partido. So this one no longer is just practice, but the game. So cuando
¿Cuándo
es
es
el partido.
El
el partido?
Good. So we'll try that one more time. It's a little longer. Cuando
cuando
¿Cuándo
es
es
el partido.
el
el partido?
Good. And we'll try it all together. Cuando es el partido.
cuando
¿Cuándo es el partido?
Good. And now one thing you might run into with any athletes that might speak Spanish, again, depending on how long that they've been in the United States or what kind of family they come from, a lot of Spanish-speaking countries have a tendency to just run a little bit later than we value in America. So you might find that you'll have to communicate with them a little bit more about punctuality for games and practices. They just, as a culture, tend to it's called event orientation. So they just tend to value the event that they're already in a little more than our tight schedule. So whereas here in the United States, we tend to value being on a specific schedule and starting and ending things at a specific time, regardless of whether we are finished. And so they just tend to value, like, if they're at a thing, they will stay at that thing until it is over. And the next thing doesn't always start until everybody kind of shows up. And so they may not understand that they're holding you back. And again, if they've been in the United States for a long time, that may not be as much of an issue. But if you do notice that they're coming later more often than not, it's probably not because they're trying to be disrespectful or anything. They just valued the events. And so they just thought they'll be at your event when their first event was over. So that might just be something to stay aware of if you have some punctuality issues with some of your Spanish-speaking athletes. All right, the next one, te lastimaste. So this one's kind of a long one. So are you hurt? This might be, again, a very important question to be able to ask. So you start with te.
Okay.
Then we'll break down the other word because it's kind of long. Last.
La.
Y
Y
maste.
maste.
So we'll break that long one down one more time. Lasti.
Maste.
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 So we'll put that whole big word together. Lasti maste.
Maste. Maste.
I like it.
And so te lastimaste, you would be asking them if they've hurt themselves. So it's like almost rhyming.
Maste. Lastimaste.
Right? And we'll try the whole phrase together. Te lastimaste.
Te
Te
lastimaste.
lastimaste.
Like
And
that.
so again, the questioning tone is very similar to the question tone in English. So that's one thing that carries over between the two languages that makes it a little better. So the same kind of tone you would use for a question in English would be the same kind of tone you would use for a question in Spanish.
Lastimaste.
All right. Buen trabajo would be a good job. So we've kind of already learned bueno. In this case, it's shortened to buen. So the second word though is trabajo.
Trabajo.
which would be the job or good work. So we'll break that one down a little bit. Tra,
Tra.
Tra.
ba,
Ba.
ho.
Trabajo.
So we'll do that one all together. Trabajo.
Trabajo.
Good. And we'll do the whole phrase. Buen trabajo.
Buen
Trabajo. Trabajo.
Good. That one's a fun one to say. So, all right. So now we have puedes repetir ese. So this would be,
I'll bring up your black shorts and your sweatshirt.
can you repeat that? You may want them to repeat the drill or do it again. So this one again is a little longer, so we'll kind of break it down. Puedes
Puedes
repetir
repetir
ese.
ese.
So we'll break it down one more time. Puedes
Puedes
repetir
repetir
ese.
Ese.
Put the whole thing together. Puedes repetir ese.
Puedes repetir ese.
So again, you'd be asking them to repeat it, or if they were just trying to say something to you, this could also be, you could also ask them to repeat themselves by asking this, or it could be to repeat the drill or the activity that you're having them do. All right, and I think we're almost to our last two, and this one is probably what we could have started with. If they are new to you, you're definitely going to want to ask them, ¿Cómo te llamas? Okay, because you would be asking them for their name. So, ¿Cómo is the first word, so we'll repeat that one. ¿Cómo
¿Cómo
te
te
llamas?
Llamas.
And you'll notice the double L in Spanish makes a Y sound. So it'll be ya, like a ya sound. So we'll break that one down. ¿Cómo
¿Cómo
te
te
llamas?
llamas?
Put the whole thing together. ¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
And you may have noticed we used como earlier in ¿Cómo estás? And in that question, does anyone remember what ¿Cómo estás was?
How are you?
How are you? But here I told you that como is what? So this is not a literal translation. Again, not everything is going to be a direct one-to-one translation. So this literally means, how do you call yourself? But we would never say that in English. That's very silly. So this would be their equivalent for asking for their name. So, and then if they responded and asked for your name to say it, you would say, me llamo, and then your name. So we'll start with me,
Me
and then llamo.
llamo.
So again, the double L still is making that Y
Yeah.
sound. And you'll notice this one ended with an O, whereas the other one ended with an AS. That's all about subject-verb agreement. When you're talking to someone, you add, it would end in an AS, but if you're talking about yourself, you're gonna use an O. So, me llamo, literally, I call myself, and then you would give your name. So we'll try that one again. And if you wanna add your name to the end, that's great. Me llamo.
Me
llamo Garnet.
Nessie.
That my name is. So again, that's not a literal translation. This does not mean my, and llamo does not mean name. It's literally, I call myself. That's another common mistake that my high school students make, because then they'll try to add S or está, and they'll say me llamo es, thinking it literally means my name, but it doesn't. So that would be the whole phrase, and then you would include your name. So that, yeah, not always a literal translation. So that is the last slide I have, the last phrase to share. Did anyone have any questions or anything like that?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Ian's married. God, known those kids since they were babies.
I'd just like to take a second, Anne, if you don't mind, to plug the possibility that if you guys have liked learning Spanish this way, with Anne teaching you everything that she knows, then we welcome you to let us know that, because we're looking at the possibility of offering multiple classes through into the summer, or maybe starting them in the summer and having like a summer class. Just a continuing education kind of option for us to continue to expand and how to better communicate with our Spanish speaking athletes and their families. So we will send you more information out about that, but I wanted to go ahead and put that in your ear, that is an option that Anne has wonderfully agreed to help us out with. And it would be in a very similar format as what you've seen here. There may be some tweaks and pulls and tugs to change some things and improve or whatever, but it'll be basically the same format. So anyway, sorry, Anne, I wanted to go ahead and put that plug in just in case.
Kathy, did you have something?
Is there any way we could get like a printout of what we just did so that we can keep practicing?
I think so.
Because my old brain didn't hold it all. But I like
all the emails have been saved, right? Is that right, Kelly?
I'm sorry, what?
She just wants, like, could we send them the slideshow so that they could have it, keep practicing?
Yes, we could do that. We can either send them the whole slideshow, or we can just type up a quick Word document. However way we want to be able to do that is fine. Yeah, we'll definitely send that out.
Hey, y'all, and this recording is going to also be linked to our website where it is now, like on the conference page, but it will forever live on our YouTube page. Mm-hmm. And it's under the actual playlist of annual conference. So it will be there for here and forever. Amen. So if you ever need like that auditory direction, you can come back to this at a later time.
That's a great point, Lee. Yeah, it's going to be useful for all of us to be able to go back, I think, and hear the actual where the emphasis is on the right syllable or not. Well, just as a poll, are there people here that think that they might be interested in being able to continue this process? I got one. Yeah, I have multiple people. Okay, good. Good, I'm glad. I know I'm interested in continuing the process because this was great, and it was really some good door opening options for us to be able to not feel like we can't communicate with our athletes.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other questions or concerns?
Just a little funny side note, and you'll like this, but literally one of the only things I remember from high school Spanish is puedo ir al baño, because that's how you ask to use the restroom, right?
Yes, that's probably the most remembered phrase by many people. So
got it.
That's one of those important things.
It is when you get older too.
Really, I don't know how they would be able to do this either, but something that if people are interested in more classes is submitting ideas for the phrases or words that would be helpful to them in their field. So that way we don't have to come up with things, but we can actually try to teach you things that are valuable to you.
Oh, look at them. You can't
don't want them to waste
publicity job at that. Wear your black shorts.
You can help it.
Well, I see some good comments in the chat box. So it looks like this session, this introduction to Spanish for sports was successful. And so thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Anne.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
On a secondary and just following our next session is going to be the Champions Awards, our stream for that. Are all of you guys going to stay on for that? Are we hoping that you're going to? Yes. Apparently not one person. She left. Opened the door and left.
Sorry, that was me. That was Garnet. I'm not leaving. I'm just carrying you with me.
That's okay.
Hey Kelly, can you check the waiting room? I don't see where I don't see where I can go into a waiting room.
We just had one person that was sitting there just for about 5 minutes while I was waiting.
That was Angela. She was trying to figure out how to get in.
Oh, it just said Angie's iPhone. Okay. No, that's fine. I was just waiting since we were almost at the end of the class. Just
Gotcha.
I was assuming they were coming on for the next session.
Okay. Yeah, I told her, I was like, yeah, I don't know if Kelly was looking at it or not. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Well, then I think we all should come up with some phrase that we want to tell Anne such a great job that she did, but we have to do it in Spanish.
We did learn one, hopefully.
Exactly.
Mucho bueno. Mucho bueno.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
one of my favorite words is trabajo. So that's always a good one.
Oh, bueno trabajo.
Mm.
Trabajo.
Good
It also,
word. Yeah.
and I was talking about those subject verb agreements. It has one of the best ones to say trabajamos. So maybe we'll learn that later on.
Hey, that's a teaser.
It's a fun word to say.
Trabajo. There
Well,
you go.
thank you all for joining us. This was fun.
Thank you, Anne.
Yes.
Thank you, Anne.
I'm gonna go.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Anne. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Yay. Good job, everybody. Now I want to see all of us practicing while we're waiting on the next session to begin. All right, Anna, hit me. I'm ready for some Spanish.
Oh gosh. I literally have like a whole page of notes. It's great.